All right, let's be honest. We've all been told to go study, but what does that actually mean? Today, we're going to get into the science of how learning really works, and I'm going to show you how to fix your study habits for good.
I mean, come on, you know this feeling, right? You pull an all-nighter, you're fueled by coffee, you've been reading and rereading your notes for hours, only to get to the test and find your mind is a total blank. It is one of the most frustrating feelings in the world, and trust me, you are not alone.
But here's the most important part. This has absolutely nothing to do with how smart you are. The real problem is that most of us were never actually taught the science behind learning. We were just told, go figure it out. So we ended up with habits that feel productive, but really aren't. So let's fix that.
Okay, first, we've got to tackle the biggest misconception out there. I call it the study myth. It's this belief that just putting in more hours automatically equals better results. It just doesn't. It's kind of funny how we confuse what feels productive with what actually is productive. I mean, rereading your notes, highlighting half the page. It feels like hard work, doesn't it? But really, those are passive activities. Your brain is kind of just coasting. Real learning, the kind that sticks, comes from active things, like forcing your brain to remember something or spacing out your sessions.
And this is the core idea right here. If your study session feels easy, you're probably not learning a whole lot. That feeling of struggle, that moment where you have to really work to remember something, that's not you failing. That's literally the feeling of new connections forming in your brain. It's your brain getting stronger.
So, how do we create that good kind of struggle? Well, that brings us to the single most important study skill you can possibly learn. It's called active recall. And honestly, this is a total game changer.
So what is active recall? It's simply the act of pulling information out of your brain instead of just passively shoving it in. Think of your memory like a muscle. Rereading a textbook is like watching a video of someone lifting weights. Active recall is you, actually in the gym doing the reps. That's what builds strength.
So how do you actually do it? It's a super simple four-step loop. First, you learn something new. Then, and this is the key part, you close the book, shut the laptop. Then try to explain that concept out loud just from memory. You will immediately, and I mean immediately, see where the gaps are between what you thought you knew and what you actually know.
And you can work this into pretty much any subject. Flashcard apps like Anki or Quizlet are built specifically for this. Or you can just turn the headings in your textbook chapters into questions and try to answer them. But my personal favorite? Teach it. Try to teach the concept to a friend or even just an empty chair. If you can make someone else get it, you've definitely got it.
Okay, so now you've got the foundation, active recall. Now we can make it even more powerful. Let's look at two more strategies that are all about studying smarter, not harder. First up is spaced repetition. You can think of this as the scientific cure for cramming. Look, our brains naturally forget stuff over time. That's just how they work. Spaced repetition actually works with that process instead of fighting it.
The whole idea is to review information at intervals that get longer and longer over time. You review something right as you're about to forget it. And every single time you do that, you hit the pause button on the forgetting process. And you send a powerful signal to your brain that says, hey, this is important. Keep it around. This is how you build really strong long-term memories.
All right, the second technique is called interleaving. And this one really goes against what most of us do, which is study one single topic for hours and hours on end. That's called blocked practice.
So, instead of grinding away at math for 3 hours straight, you do an hour of math, then switch to biology, then maybe to history. Now, this is going to feel harder, way harder, because your brain has to keep switching gears and pull up totally different sets of information. But that's the whole point. It trains your brain to be more flexible, and it gets way better at figuring out which tool to use for which problem.
But here's the thing. All these techniques are just tools. The real goal, the ultimate goal, isn't just to memorize a bunch of facts. It's to actually understand them. That's the foundation that makes knowledge really stick.
This is one of my absolute favorite quotes because it's the perfect test for whether you truly understand something. It is so easy to hide behind complicated words and jargon, but true mastery is being able to take a complex idea and break it down into simple, easy-to-understand language.
And that is exactly what the Feynman technique helps you do. You just pretend you're teaching a concept to a kid. The second you get stuck or you hear yourself using a complicated word, boom, you've just found the exact edge of your understanding. Now you know precisely what you need to go back and review. It's like a diagnostic tool for your brain.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's boil it all down into one simple but really powerful formula. And here it is. This is your new study loop.
Start by actively recalling information from memory. Then, space out your review sessions over time. Mix up your subjects to build that mental flexibility. And through it all, always aim for deep understanding, not just memorization. This simple loop is the core of truly effective learning.
You see, the goal isn't to chain yourself to your desk for 8 hours a day. It's about using these proven techniques that work with your brain's natural ability to learn. It's all about studying smarter, not harder.
When you start applying these principles, you can totally change your relationship with learning. So, the only question left is, are you ready to stop cramming and start really learning?